Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to actually take this opportunity to talk about salaries as a teacher. Having been taught both in Australia and the UK, I actually want to talk about different salaries working as a teacher, so in both countries. What I'll do today, I will actually be talking about salaries published online, which is working as a teacher in government schools, or you call public schools, both in Australia and the UK. So for those of you who wants to actually teach in the UK or in Australia, you can have a better idea. And also I want to give out some information for my fellow Australian teachers who are looking to come to the UK to teach. Maybe for the British teachers, if you're thinking to go to teach in Australia, so you have some overviews and ideas of what the salary and structure and the pay scale will be like in Australia. Just want to clarify, everything I said today and all the salary and the numbers, they're all published online by the Department of Education. So for Australian schools, so I'm gonna use the numbers published by Department of Education for Victorian government schools, which is the state that I was working as a teacher back in Australia. But bear in mind, all the Victorian government schools, the salary they're offering to teachers are not the highest among all the other states. So as far as I know, according to my knowledge, so ACT, which stands for Australian Capital Territory, so this state or this territory, they offer the highest paying jobs for teachers in Australia. So Victoria as a state, the overall salary for teachers, they're actually average in the nation compared to other states. This is the state I'm going to use today because all the schools I previously worked at, they're all based in Victoria. The capital city is Melbourne, if you want to do a little bit research on that. So for British schools, today I'll be using the pay scale for teacher work in London. Basically in London you have 3 different pay scales based on the location of the school. So you have inner London schools, you have outer London schools, you also have schools in the fringe. So in these 3 different locations, based off your school, where your school is located, you actually fall into different pay scale tables. So that's the one I'm going to use today for London, for British schools. And as far as I know, if you're working as a teacher in London compared to other cities in the UK, you probably get the highest pay among all the other areas and locations if you're working as a teacher in the UK. So let's get started. All the salary I'm talking about is annual salary, which is the yearly salary working as a full-time teacher. So we're not talking about part-time, casual, or supply, or cover teachers. We are talking about full-time working teachers and their salary. And I also want to talk about 3 different levels, from level 1 to level 6, and then the leading level, the top level. The reason I'm going to talk about these 3 levels is because for level 1, so we can have a direct comparison when you just finish your study and your teaching course and programs. As a first year graduate teacher, how much you'll be earning in both countries. For level 6, because in London, in your pay scale, you also have 2 different subsections. The first one is called main pay scale, which is also short for MPS. And then the next subsection, you call that upper pay scale, is also called UPS. In order to progress to upper scale, you have to work as a teacher for 6 years, which means that you have to go up for 6 levels to be able to reach to the upper pay scale. In Australia, we do not have such a system. So every year you worked as a teacher, you have 1 more year's experience, so you can just move up 1 more level. In the UK, in government schools, when you reach level 6, you actually need to apply for upper pay scale. And when the governors, your local governors, approve your application, so they think you're capable of moving up to the upper pay scale, you're granted for pay rise. Otherwise, if your application is declined, you stay in the main pay scale. So we do not have such a process in Australia. So every year you worked, which means you have one more year's experience as a teacher, so you can move up automatically. That's why I want to compare level 6, because that's the top level in London as a teacher in the main pay scale before moving up to the upper pay scale. But in Australia, we just move up to level 7 straight away after level 6. And then the last level I want to compare is actually the leading practitioner, which is the leading teacher scale. What I mean by leading teacher is as high as you can go as a teacher. If you're not taking up any other teaching or leadership responsibilities, you're just purely working as a teacher. So that's the top pay scale you can get in Australia and the UK. So those are the 3 levels we want to compare. And what I'll do, I'll change all the salary numbers into British pounds. So we have the same currency, so we can compare that. Okay, now for level 1 in Australia, in Australian government schools, level 1 teacher, classroom teacher level 1, you're getting paid $69,772. That's in Australian dollars. If I'm going to convert this number into pounds, that will be roughly £37,000 a year. Okay, so we are talking about level 1 teacher, which is graduate teacher level. As soon as you finish your degree and then you move into teaching as a profession. Now let's look into the pay scale in London. So what I'll do, I'll go straight into inner London pay scale, because inner London schools, they pay the most to teach it. Okay. For inner London, qualified teacher level 1 is £30,000, 480. Okay, so 30480, that's London school. Inner London school, teachers pay scale level 1. But if you remember the number, we've converted from Australian dollars into British pounds. That is £37,000 if you're working as a graduate teacher in Australia in a government school. So that's £7,000 more as a graduate teacher. So that's the first number we want to compare, which is level 1. Now, if we look at level 6, which is on the top of the main pay scale in London schools, inner London schools, that number is £41,000, 483. 41483 in pounds. Now, let's go back to Australian's pay scale table, and then we go up to level 6 to look at the number there. So level 6 classroom teacher in Victorian government school is getting paid $83,630. We convert this number into pounds. Okay, so that number equals to £44,000, 557. So that's 44557 in pounds. But in inner London school, for level 6 teacher, you're getting paid £41,000 roughly. So that's another £4,000 more on level 6 as an Australian teacher compared to a British teacher. If we move up to a leading practitioner, which means you're like a leading teacher, in the UK, leading teacher in inner London schools, if I look at the table published online here, so level 1 leading practitioner, your pay scale is about £42,000. Your salary will be £42,000 to start with as a leading teacher. If we go back to the Australian teacher's pay scale, the leading practitioner starting with $109,492. If we convert this number into British pounds, let me do a calculation here. That's about £58,000 as a leading practitioner. Okay, this is about £16,000 more than like a leading teacher in inner London schools. So there is a huge difference there. If you look at the numbers published online working in a government school as a teacher, both in Australia and the UK, so every level Australian teachers get paid a little bit more than British teachers. Okay, so the reason I want to talk about teacher salaries, because there's always like complaining about we're not getting paid enough and we're doing so much. There's always an argument going around this topic. But having been taught in Australia and the UK, I just want to give you like a very moderate comparison. This is not representing my personal view, and I'm not trying to tell you like if you work as a teacher which country is better. It's just numbers. What I wanted to say is, for those fellow Australian teachers, if you're thinking coming to the UK to teach, that's what you're expecting in the salary. And for British teachers, if you think you want to explore your other teaching options, you might want to teach in Australia. That's what you get in Australia. And then when you look at these numbers, you can actually plan better for your future to look for all the options you have. This is just like educational video for people actually want to get into teaching as a profession, or you want to actually compare different countries. So what I shared here is my personal experience. There's nothing right or wrong. I'm not trying to tell you which way is better and which country is better to work as a teacher. So I just hope you get some more information on the salary, and we can compare this in a very transparent way. For my past teaching experience in Australia, I've always worked in private schools, which you call that independent schools in the UK. And of course, they have their own pay scale. They won't follow the government pay scale as a teacher. So normally for each level, your pay scale in the private school, of course, is a bit higher than government schools. And also you've got different type of bonuses. For example, full attendance bonus, and also if you do Saturday support, if you go on camp, if you go for like extracurricular activities, private schools normally pay teachers as well. And some schools, they even offer free lunch. They offer you like free professional development in other places if you want to go. I suggest that if you want to explore your options as a teacher in both countries, doesn't matter which one, I hope you get some ideas and you can actually look up online to see the difference and also make the best choice. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.